Hi everyone. So at Breakthrough in Action, we are discussing a lot about self-awareness and a mindfulness practice and how it's so important to incorporate it in our lifestyles, especially today, because now with all these new challenges and stressors and adversities, we should really balance that with positive coping strategies. And mindfulness is an excellent coping strategy. And I'm going to teach you a very simple system of how to do that. Very easy to learn. Now, research is also showing that much of our stress comes from our reaction to the triggers in the environment around us. Because when we react to a fearful thought or an anxious emotion with more fear and more anxiety, then it begins to self-perpetuate. And before you know it, we're not in control of our emotions or thoughts. They're in control of us. And that can be very, very overwhelming. And what mindfulness teaches us is to come back into the present moment. But it's important to understand and have compassion on ourselves because research has shown that our brains, we didn't exactly get dealt an easy hand. Our brains are genetically and biologically hardwired to overanalyze, to dwell on what happened yesterday and to just ruminate on what could happen tomorrow so that we, problem solve and create strategies to survive. That's the mechanism that we live with, constantly thinking and overanalyzing. And so we're these time travelers, we're never in the present moment. We're dwelling on the past or ruminating and fearful about the future. But it takes away energy and resources for the right now. And the right now is so important because tomorrow has enough to worry about on its own. Right now, today is tomorrow in the making. And so we need to be able to focus all our energy and resources in the right now. So mindfulness is exactly that. It brings our awareness into the present moment and allows us to observe our thoughts and emotions simply just as thoughts and emotions in an unbiased, non-judgmental way. And I'm going to show you a very easy technique to do this. And the first thing is to simply, when you catch yourself being swept away or being overwhelmed, to just take that pause. Take a pause and to take deep, full breaths in and out through the nose and to focus our awareness on our breath. This allows us to calm our sympathetic nervous system or that fight or flight stressful response. And then when thoughts and emotions arise, which they do because the brain will do what the brain does, to simply notice it and to observe it without engaging in it and to change our relationship with it rather than being resentful of those thoughts and emotions, but to approach it with a gentle curiosity and to observe it. It's important to also note what that is. Say, okay, this is thinking. This is anxiousness, or this is fear, or this is distraction. Because when we do that, we actualize or materialize what these thoughts and emotions are as something completely separate from us. We don't identify with it. And then we can have the discernment to choose. Is this true? Is this useful? Would I like to just let it go? Or is this something I want to pursue? And just that action of coming and bringing our awareness to the breath, when we develop this practice consistently, yes, stressors will still happen, but eventually that mindfulness will allow us to regulate our emotions and direct our thoughts and therefore our behaviors to where we want to intentionally. And when we keep getting distracted with thoughts, it's important to also just realize that I am distracted and to come back to the breath. Because coming back to the breath is what we call meta-awareness. And that's actually the practice. It's not about getting to the finish line, It's about catching ourselves and saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to intentionally bring myself back into the present moment. And when you're able to catch yourself, that's something to be proud of. Small baby steps over time, my goodness, this will add such fulfillment and nourishment to your daily living, I promise. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions with the mindfulness practice, even if it's just 5 minutes or even 3 minutes, start 1 minute in the morning and 1 minute at night. You don't have to always be sitting down and closing your eyes in a mat for mindfulness. Mindfulness is simply being in the present moment. Our senses are there for a reason. How often do we engage and understand where we are and how we're feeling and moving and interacting with the world? So I challenge you and I invite you to share your story about mindfulness. Have a good one.